Cable snakes versus individual inputs on your electronic drum module. Which is better? That's coming up. What's up guys, Justin Greenwald here, welcome to 65 Drums. This is the place to keep on top of all things Edrum related, so consider subscribing if you haven't yet. Today I'm talking about cable snakes versus individual inputs on your electronic drum module. For those of you that don't know what the heck I'm talking about, there's two main ways of connecting your drum pads to your drum module. The first way is just individual inputs. So in this case, a drum module would be designed with 8 to 16 individual 1/4 inch inputs. You plug a stereo cable from the input to each individual pad. Sometimes a company will actually run the cables through the drum rack for you, and then all the cable ends will pop out right where the drum module would be. And then other times you have to individually connect all the cables and then wind each cable around your drum rack and try to make it look as nice as possible. So that's the first way. The second way is to connect a cable snake. It's usually a DB25 connector, like this guy right here. You'll see this on a bunch of different drum modules. So you plug this guy into the main part of your drum module, and then the other ends are for like your snare, your toms, your cymbals, all that stuff. All the cables are lined up at very specific lengths. Let me go on the pros and cons of using one of these guys. The first great thing about having a cable snake is just clean cable management. Each cable is a different length, so it goes precisely to where your pad is gonna be and no farther. So you don't have cables hanging around, or you don't have to wrap them around your drum rack a million times just to make them the right length. Very clean cable management, and that's one of the great things about using a cable snake. The second great thing is that it's easier to set up your drums. When you initially get your drum set out of the box and you have to connect each cable to the drum module, this is just twice as fast. You plug this end into the drum module, and then all you gotta do is plug all the other ends individually into the pads. That slices the amount of time of setting up that section of the drum module in half. So it saves time and it has a much cleaner look. This is getting a lot more popular with drum manufacturers. I'll get into different modules that have this in a second. But as far as cons go, one of the things I hate about using cable snakes is that they really tie you down onto where each individual drum pad has to be. Because if you want to have your floor tom a few inches more to the right, or if you want to just have your cymbals in a different position or anything, you pretty much can't. Because these cables are measured to go a specific distance and no more. So they pretty much lay down the law and say, you have to put your cymbals here and nowhere else, because that's how long the cables are. So it's very limiting. I like having more freedom. I just don't like that limiting factor of using a cable snake. Another thing I don't like about cable snakes is kind of a coincidence, because you just don't have many connection options when you're using one of these guys. Now, this is a coincidence because these kinds of connections are always used on mid-level and low-level drum modules. So that means they're not gonna have a ton of inputs anyway. But just rest assured, if you're buying a drum module that has a cable snake input, that means you're only gonna get maybe 10 inputs or something. So usually what happens is the cable snake will have 8 chords, and then maybe you'll have a couple of aux inputs on your drum module. You can't have a giant setup. Whenever you see a drum module that has a cable snake, just know, man, you're gonna have limited options on how many drum pads you can plug in. And the last con against using a cable snake is that you're forced to buy cable extenders. This is kind of annoying. If you wanna get a 6-foot cable extender, or maybe something shorter, it can range anywhere from like $8, $10 on down. And if you wanna extend maybe a couple of cymbals and a floor tom or two, bam, that's another 30 bucks that you gotta do just to extend these cables. A cable extender will have a female end. You plug the female end of this extender cable into this right here, and the other end is a male 1/4 inch out, and you plug that into whatever pad it is that you wanna extend. By now, I know you're wondering, okay, Justin, I hate cable snakes too, but which drum modules have them? I've got a partial list here. I say partial because I know there's tons of other drum modules that probably have the cable snake that I didn't include on the list. But this will give you a general idea of how many drum modules have this. The TD9, the Roland TD11, the TD15, the TD25, the Alesis Crimson, the Alesis Fords, the Alesis DM10 MK2, the Alesis Command, ATV's AD5 drum module has it. The Pearl Mimic has it, but believe it or not, it's for 8 of the outputs. So thankfully they didn't use it for any of the inputs. It's just direct out, so you can go to like a mixing board or something. And as you can see from that list, it's usually mid-tier to lower tier drum modules that have this. I see that Roland is a big fan of the DB25 cable connector. It's a way for these manufacturers to get you to buy the flagship drum set, because they know you want to have individual inputs for all your drums and extra inputs at the same time. So it's a way for them to sort of edge you to go buy like a Roland TD30 or a TD50 or an Alesis DM10 or an Alesis Strike or whatever the case may be. I gotta give props here for Yamaha, because even on their lowest tier drum module that's sold separately, the DTX 502, it has all individual inputs. The 700 series and the 900 series also have individual inputs. So I'm glad Yamaha has gone that route. Anyway, I thought I'd make this video. No one really talks about cable snakes versus individual inputs, so I thought this would be an interesting topic. Obviously, I'm not telling you to not buy a drum module just because it has a cable snake. This is kind of sort of a complaint video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Go check me out on Facebook and Instagram, and have an awesome day.